Well, ladies and gentlemen, the day is finally here. In the last video, I alluded to a big surprise coming for the Land Cruiser. And as you can see from behind me here, we have the 6-inch lift kit from Ironman 4x4. You know I love all of their products. I currently have a 2-inch lift with 30mm coil spacers going to all sides. So that's about a 3-inch lift I have on it now, and I've loved it. I've had it for about a year. I got that on sale as well, and they had another sale, so I just had to go ahead and grab them. So I'll just go through what I got in this kit. Basically, it's not really a kit. I pieced it together based on what I already have. So what we have, starting out here, we have our two, these are drop brackets, and these will go to the frame side where the radius arm is going to mount inside of these like this. So it slips into your radius arm chassis bracket. And basically what these do is it lowers the point where your radius arm is coming into contact with the chassis so that it keeps your caster angles good, because this is, like I said, a 6-inch lift. So, and I'm going to probably have coil spacers on the front springs to eliminate the rake. These come with hardware. There's different variations of these. I've seen Manafray and I think Land Tank on I Hate Mud have different variations. There's a 3-inch and a 5-inch. This was suggested on Ironman's 6-inch lift kit, so I went ahead and got these. Now, whether or not I have to use them in conjunction with the caster plates here, which I got, will remain to be seen. I'll probably end up doing them just for peace of mind, but it comes with all of your hardware here for these caster plates. I'm sure you guys are pretty familiar with these. There's a lot of people that, or a lot of companies that make them, Dobinsons, etc. Anyways, that's going to require cutting the radius arm differential mount here with an angle grinder so that this nut will fit in there. And then we're going to adjust the caster bushings to suit, just go back to normal. I like to get some regular Toyota ones because the ones that I have in there are the polyurethane Ironman ones, which are okay, but I'd rather just have some OEM rubber. Being that I can utilize the stock degree of caster in the rubber bushings, I'd rather just do that. I feel like they're probably a little bit better quality because it's Toyota. And then we have our Ironman Panhard adjustable bar here. So just like in the Ironman adjustable Panhard bar, this basically is just going to get our rear end back. It's gonna recenter the axle after we lift it 6 inches. So it has this collar here, obviously, that just spins out, the locking nut. So you can adjust the length of this, which will be longer than the stock rear Panhard bar, to compensate for the lift, so that we can extend that so that it will be sitting a little bit more flat so that the axle comes back into center. And then we have our coils, obviously. These are pretty big. Yeah, so obviously fronts here, rears here. When I first got these for the 2-inch lift, I had some issue finding out which one was which for like the driver's side or the passenger side. You can know that the driver's side will always be a little bit taller because it's compensating for your weight, I would assume is what it is. I'm not a scientist or not even close to knowledgeable about that kind of stuff, but yeah, you can kind of, it probably won't come through on camera as much, but this is the longer one. So this will be going on the driver's side, this goes on the passenger side, and the same with the rear. Rears are a little bit bigger diameter, obviously. These ones look almost the same, so I'll have to get a measurement to find out exactly which one's longer. I don't currently have a front sway bar in. It'll be easier for this install to just have them removed anyways, but these are the rear sway bar extensions. So these will mount, I believe, on the bottom of the chassis rail, and then it'll prevent the rear sway bar from getting in the way. Another thing you're gonna wanna look at when you lift your truck this much is that you're gonna need to address the front driveline angle and possibly the rear, I'm not sure. Anyways, I just went to Pick and Pull the other day and was lucky enough to find a Tundra in the junkyard. And from what I read on I Hate Mud, you can use the Tundra rear shaft for your front drive shaft, but there is some modification required, of course. The reason I went and got this is because this is a dual cardan, I think it's called dual cardan drive shaft. So basically what that means is it's basically like a swivel extension on a socket, but a little bit more high tech than that. I'm sure there's some engineers that can explain that a lot better than I can. But anyways, This motion right here allows for a more severe drive shaft angle, which I'm going to have going from the transfer case into the differential. So that'll prevent like vibrations past maybe 40, 50 miles per hour. But this is too long as it is now. So I'm going to have to get this cut and retubed because there's actually a little dent on it as well. I might use that, I might not. I might just go without a front drive shaft for a little while and activate the center differential. I've heard people have done that with success on I Hate Mud, but that's a story for another day. In today's video, we're just going to try and get those coils on and see about possible rubbing and what else we need to do. So it's always a task to get those coils in, and I know it's going to be difficult on these ones because they're so long. Without further ado, let's turn it around and get the wheels off the ground. All right, so we've got the original 2-inch coils off. We removed the lower nut here, so this is freely from the axle. We've also removed the adjustable panhard bar. We removed it over there, so the axle is floating freely except for the drive shaft, basically. We removed the radius arm as well, because we're gonna have to press in these bushings to a different orientation. And this is just a side-by-side comparison of the two shocks. Those are the driver's side. This is the 2-inch Ironman, and this is the 6-inch. So I was dumb and I forgot to get this part of the kit, the extended brake line. So I'm gonna see if I can just unbolt that for now and then just gain a little bit of clearance, just enough to get that in. All right guys, so she's in. It took a bit of maneuvering this side of the axle, and I have it propped up here. I have a block of wood here and a tire under it, so just to be safe. But yeah, you just use a bottle jack to lower this side. Again, panhard and radius arms are taken out. Drive shaft's still in, but I'm gonna remove that. What I did, I know this looks sketchy with the brake line. The hard line isn't really bending that much. It's bending from here at the weld. So there's a 14mm bolt in here to take on the axle housing to let this come up. And then there's a 12mm here and another 12mm on the other side for this part of the hard line L. That gives you just enough play to do it, so you can, this looks like it's under stress, but it's not, it's actually loose. I'm gonna replace these, obviously I just forgot, but just to get these in, that does work. So this side is pretty much done. We got the shock reinstalled. And these are just the nitro gas, these aren't the foam cell, but these are just long enough. I'm probably not gonna have much travel, obviously, but these are installed. And then the new drop box. So this is a new product I haven't really seen anybody try yet. So I'm just running the stock radius arms. And if you remember from the caster correction video, I ground this out a little bit, which they recommend you might need to do. It doesn't look like I'm gonna need to do that. I'm not really making contact here. And I have actually a lot more space than I did just from the caster bushing. So I don't even know if I'll need the plates down there. A lot of people don't like the look of these, but it is what it is. I think this is a better solution than caster plates with this amount of lift. So it's just one bolt that goes through your original radius arm to differential housing. Really nice MIG welding on these, nice and beefy. There are 2 retaining plates that go up here with welded nuts, and then there's 2, it's gonna be really hard to see it, but there's 2 studs basically. 2 of these guys that will go up in there, and there's a plate on the back side that prevents the welded nut from spinning, so that's in there really secure. Yeah, so now it's onto the other side. All right, so on this side, similar, logistically speaking, these bolts are harder to get out of the lower differential radius arm bracket, just because the diff housing is closer. Obviously on this side it's offset from the transfer case, but those are out obviously. So since we don't have our extended brake lines yet, we took the bolt out of here, 2 12mm bolts going into the frame, and that'll give us enough play here. And this is eventually, I think, where we'll get our extended brake line put in right here, because that's where it had the most tension under load. So we're gonna go ahead and get the spring out of here, lower the axle since we have it here, a tire under it. We have it jacked here. We have a jack stand here just for safety, and then we're using our bottle jack to lower the axle like this. All right, so here's where we're at with the rear. In order to get the 6-inch coils in, I had to drop the entire axle. So that means taking out these upper control arms, and I know these bolts are on backwards now because those bolts are supposed to have the teeth on this side instead of the nut on this side, but I'll fix that eventually. I have to wrap this up because I need to utilize our driveway. I'm taking the panhard bar off now to compare it to the adjustable panhard bar and lengthen it because the whole axle is shifted over to the right, so it needs to be corrected. I also had to take the lower control arms off, and getting that to line up after the axle was off by myself was a lot of fun. 1, 2, can't see back there, but three jacks were used. So yeah, as you can see, there's a big mess of ABS, brake wire, brake proportioning valve. All those wires have been taken off via the 12 to 14 millimeter fasteners that are in various places on the chassis in order to prevent them from ripping and tearing. But yeah, now the coils are in. Got to correct the panhard bar, the new one. So we're gonna go do that and then try and get everything buttoned up because it has to be finished tonight. Nice thing about these is it has a fine thread, so you can make little adjustments and, you know, you can kind of really hone exactly where you want to get it. All right, guys, that's where I'm gonna leave the video today. I've still got a lot of work to do to it, obviously. Yeah, I think it looks pretty good. Some corrections that still need to happen as far as the overall suspension goes. So these, not the foam cell, but the nitro gas shocks are not even in the hole. So there's not enough travel there. Either that, or what I figured out is even though the passenger side, the NS that they put is shorter, they're like a different coil rate or something like that, a different spring rate or different stiffness. So even though this was longer, and I was, you know, from what I researched, you're supposed to put the longer one on the driver, this side is lifted higher. So I'm gonna have to swap these out, swap those out, unfortunately, just because, you know, I tried to go with my better judgment, but I thought maybe because they were an Australian company that could have been it. But yeah, other issues are the front drive shaft is almost out of the yoke, but I already had planned on addressing that, obviously. Yeah, this side just looks, you can tell it's a lot more. Extended brake lines need to happen. Obviously, those are all just still unbolted for now. Again, I just had to get this finished for today so that I could get it out of the driveway, which is the only level spot that we have. So this side is tucked really bad. This side is protruding decent amount, a couple inches. So I'm gonna have to readjust the sway bar, but that's really the least of my problems because things that need to happen are adjustable upper control arms, these up here. So Ironman makes a set of adjustable upper arms, which are these right here, that have 2 nuts that just extend really easily. So those need to happen because those were pretty much flat, and it's not gonna come through on camera, but those are at quite an angle. Rear drive shaft is at pretty decent angle. I'll have to check what the regular angle is. It was making some noise just going 5 miles an hour. I knew all of this was going to happen. I just wanted to get it done and then see what I would need. This is the lower control arm. I'll need to get extended ones of those as well. And these shocks, like, I can't even get them in the mount up here. They're pretty much just bottomed out. So I think I might have to get try their foam cell shocks or something, because these are just not long enough. I mean, I don't really know what else to do. And then this whole mess of wiring back here. All this needs to be put back in its place, obviously. But other than that, I'm pretty happy with it. So I was able to get most of it, or all of it, on sale, which I might still get the lower and upper control arms for the rear, the brake lines, and the correct sway bar extensions. I'm gonna get a front sway bar eventually as well, so I'll get extensions for those. And then we have to send our Tundra drive shaft off to the drive shaft shop. But anyways, that's gonna do it for today. I gotta get this all cleaned up and then go get some Chick-fil-A. If y'all enjoyed this, please consider subscribing. I'll definitely be doing some more content on this next week. Yeah, so peace out and have a good night. I'm sorry about that. I didn't even notice. I've got blood all over my eye. I dropped it. I dropped a wrench right on my face. It felt really good. It builds character, you know? What day of wrenching on a car isn't complete without the wrench actually falling and hitting you, you know? Anyways, peace out.